Welcome to Killing Time. I'm Aaron Gehring, and I'll be your tour guide through this macabre and strange, fantastic journey through some of the most sinister and deviant minds of human beings that ever walked the face of this planet. So, I've been studying psychology and human behavior, criminal behavior, and abnormal psychology for most of my life, and I find it insanely fascinating. Pun very much intended. I have a bachelor's in science in psychology, behavioral analysis, focused on behavior analysis. I also have a master's degree in forensic psychology, and I'm currently at the dissertation phase of receiving my PhD in forensic psychology as well. So I have quite an extensive background in psychology education. And most of what we will go through in this and subsequent podcasts are a combination of information I've collected through years of research, combined with just my own personal and educated uh, knowledge, observations, and opinions on this matter, and we'll see where it takes us. First, we're going to start off with serial killers, just general, basic, good run-of-the-mill serial killers. Then we're going to go into other types of deviant criminals, such as spree killers or mass murderers. But Volume 1, we're dedicated all to serial killers. That's what Killing Time is all about. So first, each week we're going to have a new subject. Now, we may not get to all of them, but we're going to try to touch on the more interesting ones because there are plenty out there. So first, episode 1, right? This episode here, we're going to start with a brief overview, a definition of what serial killers are and what they are, or where the phrase came from. And then we're going to go into a brief history of serial killers. So buckle up, strap in. Don't tie yourself up. Leave that for the subjects of our talks and enjoy the ride because it's going to be an interesting one. I'll tell you that. So, episode 1, we're going to start off with the definition. Serial killers, the term was coined by FBI agents John Douglas and Robert Ressler, who also formed the FBI's BAU, or Behavioral Analysis Unit. Um, a serial killer is a person who murders 3 or more people in 2 or more occurrences spread apart in time. And time is key here because when you're murdering 3 or more people in 2 or more occurrences and then you spread that apart in time, that's really the definition of a serial killer, as opposed to a mass murderer, which is someone who kills 3 or more people in one location at one time. So that's a mass murder. Also, this shouldn't be confused with a spree killer, which is someone who murders 3 or more people in multiple locations in a very short time. So to kind of sum that up, if you kill, I don't know, 9 people, but you do 3 here, and then you go over to this place and kill 3 more, and then you come over to this place over here 20, 30 minutes later and kill 3 more, that's a spree killer, or maybe a day or two apart. But if you're killing 3 or more people over a course of a long period of time, you might kill one and then wait a couple weeks and kill another and then wait again. Those are serial killers. So that's the difference. I want to make sure we understand our terms. And again, we'll cover all of them in sometime down the road. But for now, again, we're focused on serial killers. So first of all, now that we've gone through the definition, we're going to talk about serial killers in history. So we'll highlight as many as we can. And again, we won't be able to get to them all, but hopefully the most interesting ones will come out. So serial killers have only been highlighted in popular culture for the last few years, based in part by the work that FBI agents Douglas and Ressler did, and then also with the rise of popularity of these type of criminal mind shows and CSIs and those types of things where they deal with this type of behavior. And then we've got a slew of documentaries on Netflix, Hulu. Amazon Prime and a lot of network channels that talk about serial killers and have really raised their popularity. And then we can't forget Dexter. Oh my God, it's a fantastic show as well. So there's plenty of it out there. But so that's why here recently, I think it probably started with Silence of the Lambs just really opened this thing wide open. But with some of the more fascinating stories, people have gotten really interested in this phenomenon. So while it's only been highlighted in popular culture for a few years, there has been a long history of serial killers. So they've been on the planet for years and years, centuries before Agent Ressler and Agent Douglas coined the term serial killer into existence. So we're going to cover a couple of them from the earliest history and of serial killers, and you'll see that they have much different motives as we go through them. So um, First of the two that we're going to talk about in recorded history are two women from Rome's ruling class in 330 or 331 BC. These two women were running around poisoning the men in Rome. And they probably poisoned about 90 men before they got arrested. But someone who knew their plot alerted the authorities. So when they caught them, they never discovered their motives. Why? Well, because they killed themselves before anyone could figure it out. What they did was is they tried to prove their innocence by drinking the very poison that they were giving to the folks around town, and as you would well imagine, it killed them. So they didn't find out why exactly they were doing it. So it's hard to tell. So that's one of the first recorded incidents of serial killers in ancient history. And as we move forward in time, we'll find another more interesting one, probably, in the Homerite kingdom, which is now Yemen. This area was terrorized by a serial killer in the 5th century AD. So we go from 331 BC to the 5th century AD, and now we're talking about the Homerite kingdom. Again, it's now Yemen. And so the emperor, Zu-Shenatir, also known as the man with earrings, he not only was the emperor for 27 years, he was also a serial killer. So yes, we think we have it bad with the leader. Well, they had it really bad because their emperor was in fact a serial killer, and he killed over 100 boys during his reign, his 27-year reign. Now, what he would do, what Zu-Shenatir would do, is he would lure these boys into the castle with like candy or food or money. Things that they might find interesting, taking candy from a stranger who happened to be the emperor. And then when he'd get the boys up there, into his tower, he would sodomize them and then throw them out of the tower to their deaths. And again, he killed over 100 boys like this. And he only stopped when he met his last victim, so to speak. His last victim was called Zu Nuwas, and when he was being victimized by the emperor, he actually turned the tables on him and ended up overpowering him, and he stabbed him in the anus until he bled to death. So the emperor, Zu-Shenatir, bled to death, and then Zu-Nuwas did what every good victim did to get retaliation. He picked up the crown, assumed the throne, mounted Shenatir's head in the tower window, and ruled the Homerite kingdom for 10 years. So that was probably one of the best cases of victim revenge that I could think of. So as we compare both of these ancient history serial killers, the two ladies from Rome in 331 BC and the 5th century AD Homerite ruler, we can tell that they obviously had different motives. The first two ladies, again, we never really found out why they did what they did, but the emperor, we obviously know why he did. He was he sodomized. He was a sexual predator, and so he used his power to terrorize the boys of that realm, and so that's just horrifying. But at the end, he got his just desserts. So it just was crazy. So the murderous empire was slain. The emperor was slain by his last victim. It's just insane. So we talked about two different kind of murders from history. They both had different weapons, different modus operandi, or different modes of operation, different ways of getting their victims, and different motives, and they both ended up dead. So in ancient times, you pretty much end up dead, and it saved each time saved the authorities a lot of paperwork because they pretty much didn't have to process them. So, but they also both demonstrate that serial killers have been around for a long time. So long before modern pop culture has kind of romanticized them a bit. So that's pretty much it for the first episode. I know it's short and sweet, but I just wanted to give you a taste. So hopefully you liked what you heard, and you'll tune in next time. In this episode of Killing Time, we've learned the definition of a serial killer. the origin of the phrase, the difference between serial killers, spree killers, and other type of multiple murderers, and that serial killers have been around for quite a long time. So we highlighted that with a couple of pretty interesting cases. So hopefully it whets your appetite and you'll tune in next week because we'll have another interesting set of tales to tell you. If you have anything to add, comment down below, but make sure you hit that like button and subscribe so you can get a hold of future episodes.